Coming up on Broncos Weekend, we revisit the Broncos' 19-8 loss to the Chiefs on Thursday night. The good.
You give yourself a chance to win on the road against a team like that.
The bad.
Obviously, the 2 turnovers by me is unacceptable. We can't happen.
And how the ugly might turn into something beautiful moving forward.
Play with a tremendous amount of effort.
That's next on Broncos Weekend. Hello, thank you for joining us here for Broncos Weekend. I am Phil Milani alongside the Ring of Famer, Rod Smith, and the always entertaining and informational Nick Ferguson. Nick? Come on, yeah, I know. I knew that instead of previewing the game, we're going to be looking back at Thursday Night Football, a 19-8 loss to the Chiefs. Rod, you watched the game. What do you think?
It's not good. It's not good at all. That place is one of the hardest places in the world to play a football game. I played there I don't even know how many times. And if you don't bring your A game, if you're not locked in, if you're not focused, it can get out of hand real quick. And for me, it was just, it's hard to watch just because you know the atmosphere, you know what it takes. When you bring your group against everybody in that stadium, you might have 12 Bronco fans in that stadium. The rest of them are against you, and it takes a very special team to go out there and win.
And it's 16 losses in a row now, Nick.
Yeah, 16 losses in a row, and that's very difficult to overcome, especially when you say it out loud. It has to stick in your craw, and you have to be upset when you know you've lost so many games to one single team. At some point, you hope that the well breaks and the Broncos get a victory.
This year, guys, the offense had been playing so well, and then it sort of was a flip script on Thursday night. The defense came to play, but not the offense.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. When you're playing as a team, every phase, you need all 3 phases. We say it all the time. It sounds like it's cliche. It's not cliche. At the end of the day, you don't lose the game on offense or defense. You lose it as a team.
There is a silver lining. I mean, it makes you upset to know that this team lost. And the way that we've watched them lose games isn't something that anyone likes. But as a coach, you look and say, okay, well, what did we do well in this game that we can actually use these as foundational pieces to kind of move forward? It's not ideal, but when you are 1-5, you got to find something to keep your guys engaged in the game. So the one thing that I see with this team, a lack of consistency. And if they can put it all together, like Rod said, on all 3 phases, then maybe they can win some games down the stretch. And I'm not saying that this dismisses them from the loss, but you got to look at something from a coaching standpoint and say, well, how can I move my guys forward?
My thing at the end of the day, and I agree with you, you always looking for something to build on.
Yeah.
But for me, you got to take it personal, individually, man to man. You got to go inside yourself and figure out what could I have done better each and every week, because this thing is getting old for us right now to keep having the same conversation because we had such lofty expectations.
Yeah, there are high expectations here in Denver, but kind of like what you were saying, Sean Payton had the same sentiment after the game. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but he wasn't all doom and gloom.
We play an imperfect game, but I was pleased with. I thought we had great effort and energy tonight. You know, in a short week, tough loss. I thought we played hard, and that's not always good enough. You know, if you turn the ball over, but it gives you a chance to win. And I was encouraged with how we were ready to play physically and mentally.
So Sean Payton, complimentary of the Broncos defense. Nick, that was the best that unit had played all season.
Yeah, this is what we all expect this defense to look like. We saw guys flying around with a sense of urgency. And I got to tip the cap to Zach Allen, who played a great game. Jaquan McMillan, who filled in that nickel's position, he played a great game. And Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton, those guys have taken it on the chin all season long, but it seemed as though something motivated them to go out there and play on Thursday night, because if you watch Josie Jewell play, he looked like he was a man on a mission.
The effort on defense was definitely there, but you want that effort all the time, and I definitely agree with the way those guys individually played. And up front, I think we got a lot more pressure with just 4 guys. Personally, the only thing I can say is we play too much zone. And those guys, if they can take that effort, I still think we got to tighten it up, trust a little bit more individually as well as a group, and I think we'll be fine.
What about the run defense? It was much better last.
Absolutely better. Absolutely.
Thursday night.
Yeah, no, and you know what? That was based off of those linebackers, like you said, because those front four guys, they hit their hole that they're supposed to hit. They control the line of scrimmage that they can control. They got some big linemen up with the Chiefs, but when you got those backers plugging in those other two holes, you get the running back to pat his feet a little bit. And those linebackers, I'm going to take my hat off to them. Those guys were flying around. They were possessed with something to say, hey, listen, I got to give us a chance to win.
One thing I know about those two linebackers, they see a guy with the ball, see ball, hit ball, and they did that on Thursday night, and that's what you want to see. And you get a lot of energy defensively from your linebackers. I mean, playing here with John Mobley, Ian Gold, and Al Wilson, that was something that we kind of leaned on. They were the heartbeat of our defense, and when you see those guys kind of cutting it loose and making every play, it makes everyone in the defense better. So hopefully moving forward, this is something that the coaches can use as an example of here's what we are as a defensive team. Here's what we can be, and can we do this for the next couple of weeks?
Here's what PS2 had to say after the game about his side of the ball.
No, there's just big parts of the game where, in games like this, we got to come up big on those crucial moments. So we weren't able to, capitalize on the opportunity. But, I could say I'm very proud, with the effort we put out there, as a team. You know what I mean? So we could build on this and improve and look forward to the weeks ahead.
The one player who did get loose for Kansas City, we talked about him, Travis Kelce. He seems to be everywhere these days. For more on the tight end taking over the country, here's Denver 7's Troy Rink.
Well, unfortunately, the Broncos were unable to snap their streak against the Chiefs, dropping their 16th straight. A big reason why? Travis Kelce. This guy, he's opened more than 7-11. And it's crazy because the Broncos went into this game with the intent to neutralize him. But it speaks to Travis Kelce's greatness that he's almost impossible to contain. And you're watching the film here. The reason is, for me, he's a lot like Steph Curry in basketball. They run him around and he stops in unusual places. You have these option routes, and he does options nobody's ever seen for a tight end. So when you think he's going to go deep, he stops. He sits in the zone. He finds these pockets, so he's essentially a big receiver finding pockets in the zone. He has great hands, great football intelligence, and situational awareness, and he is a multiplier, and he and Patrick Mahomes are on the same page, and we saw that in the first half. 7 catches, 109 yards. If he's in blank spaces, Taylor Swift, he's going to get yards, and he did in that first half. He had more yards in the first half than the Broncos did, 109-94. They did neutralize him in the second half, only 2 receptions. At that point, the game had kind of gotten away from him, but again, when you're playing Travis Kelce, you have to try to play a mixture of zone, man, use corners against him, safeties. He's too good for linebackers. The Broncos unable to keep him under control. That's part of the reason this darn streak against the Kansas City Chiefs continues.
Thank you very much, Troy. Let's talk about Travis Kelce a little bit more. Rod, even Shannon Sharp says Travis Kelce is the best tight end of all time.
You know what, man? I'm never going to argue with Shannon. But when you just look at his body of work, what he's done, he's been with the same quarterback pretty much his whole career. And if you actually check Travis's backstory, it's actually pretty interesting how he even got picked up by the Chiefs. His brother had to call in some favors and all that stuff. But the guy's extremely hard worker. He's extremely talented. And it is very hard to guard him. It really is, especially when you have the chemistry that him and Mahomes has, man. It's hard. I honestly, I hate it. I'm tired of seeing this dude. He's everywhere. He's all over my TV. He's on my social media. But at the same time, here's the thing. I can promise you this. I respect him.
Yeah.
Because the guy goes out there Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whenever he puts some cleats on, he's going to give you some work every single time.
And Rod is right. The chemistry that he has with his quarterback is great. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. Jokic is always going to find Jamal Murray, and Jamal Murray is always going to find Nikola Jokic. I mean, Patrick Mahomes can underhand it, overhand it, throw it between his legs. However he wants to do it, Travis Kelce is on the opposite end of it. So that's the thing that makes it so difficult trying to cover him. Me covering Tony Gonzalez, I knew watching film what type of routes that he was going to run. But if he started changing things up and being on the run, and I can't really adapt to it, it makes it that much difficult. So
you're the reason Tony Gonzalez in the Hall of Fame?
No, I'm not. Wait, hold on.
I just messing with you. Hey, trust me, that was my era. Tony was a beast.
Antonio Gates was one of those other guys who I had
Hall
to
of
cover.
Famer.
Another Hall of Famer. Very difficult to cover these guys because they're big body guys and they know how to uncover.
All right, well, guys, it's time for a quick break. I got to keep these two on track here. When we come back, we'll hear from Russell Wilson. We'll talk about what happened on the offensive side of the ball. Plus, we'll go inside the Broncos locker room for reaction. That's next on Broncos Weekend.
From the 11. Wilson in the corner of the end zone.
Watch his right foot and see if he has possession. Right foot down. He still has possession. Left foot down. Does he bobble the ball? Man, it looked like he possessed that, Terry. That looks like a touchdown to me.
Actually, it's the knee that comes down. He gets control right there, and then the knee comes down inbounds.
That Cortland Sutton play, definitely the play of the game. We're back here on Broncos Weekend. I'm Phil Milani alongside Rod Smith and Nick Ferguson. Guys, it was tough sledding for the offense out there. Rod, how do the guys stay involved? How do you get into a rhythm when you struggle on third down the way the Broncos do?
You know what? I always go back to first down. Every time, for the last probably 5 or 6 years, watching this offense, I always watch first down. What do we do on first down? Because if you look at our third downs, look at the down and distance.
Mm-hmm.
They're not 3rd and 1 and 2s. They're 3rd and 5 to 7. And that is very, very hard in the NFL. It's very hard to overcome that. It don't seem like it should be, but when you're not in rhythm, it makes it even worse. You know, for me, I know third down is crucial, but first down to me is more important.
Rod is right in what he's saying. You want to make sure that you are in second and third and manageable type of plays. Going back and watching what Spagnuolo was doing to the Broncos defensively, he was running 2 high safeties and he was running 2 men underneath. So the receivers were trying
to running downhill.
Okay.
You got 2 high safeties and 2 men underneath. That means you're clearing them out. That's an attitude. The attitude starts in practice. It starts this week. You know, you might have a few days off. We don't deserve a few days off. We got to get back in the lab. Even if you just watch the film, you ain't got to do nothing physical, but we got to go and figure out exactly what is our identity going to be. There's still quite a bit of season left, but I think you can say, hey, listen, we got to hang our hat on 2 plays. These are the 2. I want my coach to call the play behind me.
Right.
Coach, I'm nasty over here. I got my guy. My thing is as I'm a player, I got to take everything that has happened so far personal, and I got to make sure when I'm on tape, they're getting a plus sign by Rod's name. Mm-hmm. Every play, I'm getting a plus sign. Not for the game. I want a plus sign per play. I did my job. I did it extremely well. I gave us a chance to move the chains, score a touchdown, win the game. That's the way I approached it, and that's the way I honestly believe that approach works for everybody.
It was a struggle on the offensive side of the ball, but somehow they hung in there and made it a 1-possession game late in the fourth quarter. So here's what Russell Wilson had to say about how his team battled.
We knew it was going to be a 4-quarter battle, long game. Obviously, it's division opponent and everything else. And but I think for us, we had some opportunities that we could have capitalized on. We got stopped on a couple 3rd and shorts or this and that, and they did a good job. And we had a chance, and I think we just got to play better, play cleaner. We've been playing, really good ball on offense for for the past several weeks, and I think the best thing we can do is just keep believing, play cleaner. I gotta play better, and that starts with me, and I know I'll respond the right way.
The Broncos stuck around in this one mostly due to some stellar play by the defense led by Justin Simmons, who now has 4 interceptions against Patrick Mahomes, more than any other defender in the league. He's inside the locker room with team reporter Sydney Jones.
Thanks, Phil. We're here with safety Justin Simmons. Justin, a hard-fought battle here in primetime. Overall, what did you just think about the effort the team that put in tonight?
Yeah, I thought energy and effort was high. Just at times execution wasn't what it needed to be. And just speaking defensively, I think overall there are a lot of things that we did well, but there are a few things that we just didn't execute on. And, playing against a team like that, that's always the difference in the game. And so, definitely improvement, but a lot we need to still improve on. And, we'll do that for Green Bay.
Really encouraging from the red zone defense here. I know you guys held the Chiefs to 1 of 5 in the red zone. So what did you like about what you guys were able to do there?
Yeah, I think ultimately on defense, man, it comes down to just communication and guys being on the same page. And I thought we did a really good job of that. On the touchdown, there's a little bit of miscommunication. And, that just goes to show against a team like that, results in touchdowns most of the time. And so
as good as it was, it can be better, and that falls on me and the leaders, and getting that communication right. And so, like I said, step in the right direction, but by no means satisfied with that.
Felt like it was the best outing for this defense so far this season. So are you encouraged by that moving forward?
Yeah, definitely encouraged. And I think guys should be encouraged and take a sense of pride in terms of playing a little bit better. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about winning, and we had our opportunities there, especially late in the game, to find ways to push through and to win, and we just couldn't do that. And so those are the things that I look at, and like I said, encouragement with some improvement, but overall didn't get the win, and that's what's most important.
Appreciate your time, Justin.
Yeah, thank you.
Phil, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Sydney. Time for our final break now. When we come back, we'll talk about where the Broncos go from here, and we go back inside the locker room to hear more from the guys on their mindset moving forward. That's next on Broncos Weekend.
Finding a way to win games, man. I mean, I feel like we're putting ourselves in good positions to win games. The last 2 years I've been here, and we just, haven't been able to, so we just got to try and find a way.
A hard-fought battle here in primetime at Arrowhead Stadium as the Broncos fell 19-8 to the Kansas City Chiefs. And head coach Sean Payton said following the game that he's disappointed but not discouraged. We heard from several players following the game in the locker room about some of the positives they can take out of this game.
We're doing a lot of good things. Like I said, man, we got to get better. We got to watch the film and then, improve quickly because we see them in 2 weeks.
We just got to find a way to finish and find a way to get better. We're this close, we just got to play all 4 quarters. Go back, watch film, and evaluate everything and see what didn't work and what did work, and just see what we need to do to fix it.
We came, ready to knowing that it's going to be a battle. The past is the past. We're focused on today, and we got to play them in 2 weeks or however many days. And so we got to be ready to go again.
A strong effort by this defense as it was their nicest outing so far this season. They held the Chiefs to 1 of 5 in the red zone, and we heard from some of the players in the locker room about how they saw that unit improve.
I feel like our mentality goes up whenever we get to the red zone. Like, all right, let's stop them and make sure they don't score. We have to figure out a way to stop them from getting down there, like you said. And that just comes from, executing and being right where the coaches want us to be.
We knew this is a group that we can be all year, and obviously this is going to be really encouraging for us going forward, and we're going to see that team again. So, I mean, like I said, we just got to keep getting better.
Thank you very much, Sydney, reporting out there in Kansas City. We are back on Broncos Weekend. Phil Milani alongside Rod Smith and Nick Ferguson. We're winding down here on Broncos Weekend. Where do the Broncos go from here now, Rod? They play the Chiefs again in 2 weeks, but first the Green Bay Packers come in.
You know what? You got to go look at the tape. And I was trying to figure out, okay, if I'm on this football team at this particular time, what would I do? I have to go look at the tape, either with somebody or by myself, and I got to be really, really hard on my execution, my effort, and honestly, my heart. Because football is a very hard game, and it's not as easy as all of us with the Twitter fingers think it is. It's extremely difficult to play. It's extremely rewarding when you get it right. And when you're not getting it right, you got to go back to the basics of me individually, how I got into the league. I was doing these things. Am I still doing those things? And so for me, I'm going all the way back to the basics. I'm looking at every single route. I'm looking at every ball that touched my hand. I'm looking at every block. And I'm spending, because they probably have a couple days before they get back into next week, I'm taking those days and I'm really dedicating myself to my teammates, my coaching staff, and my fans by making sure I'm a better player moving forward.
The way I look at this situation is the way I approach pretty much everything in my life. It's about relationships. This has to be somewhat of a relationship. How much does this game actually mean to you? Because I've always said there are football players and then there are guys who play football. And right now, this team needs football players, guys who are going to dedicate themselves to their craft. And for me, it's like being married. If you want to stay married, you have to do every single thing to make sure that partner of yours is happy, because it's a two-way street. You're happy, they're happy. Right now, the fan base, they're not happy. Us as former players, we're not happy because we know the standard that we played under. We know the standard that these players currently in that locker room, they can play with, but it's all about those players dedicating themselves to their craft. And Rod is right. What are you going to do with this time?
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to take this time off to kind of clear your mind. That's fine. I'm all for it. But are you going to watch film? Are you going to watch anything on the Packers? Are you going to even self-scout? These are all things that these players are going to need because the road is not going to get any easier. It's only going to get tougher from here.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of season left, too. I mean, 11 games left to go. There's still a long way to change this thing around. It starts by just improving 1 week at a time, right?
Yeah, we got to get a win, man. Plain and simple, we have to dominate the Green Bay Packers. If you, like what you talk about on defense, the offense was great, good throughout the year. This last game, not so good. Defense was good last week. Early in the year, not so good. They got to bring it all together right now. You got to go all in on yourself. It's like a poker game. Everything we got's got to go all in. From a coaching standpoint, my coach used to say, leave no stone unturned. That's what I meant. As a player, individually, what do I have to do to be a better player? Somehow, some way, I got to be a better player going into this next week. We got to get this game against Green Bay and not just win the game. We won against the Bears. I'm talking about you got to dominate the game so you can really build the confidence and feel good about yourself.
And that's the biggest thing is, do you want to dominate your opponent? And I get it. We all have friends around the league, but I'm sure Rob would say the same thing. Before games, we were friends. But the moment they kick the ball off, I don't know you. So that has to be the type of mentality that these players have to take. You have to know and want to dominate your opponent because what you put on film is your bona fide resume.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. A lot of wisdom and experience. Plus, when you two guys get together, it's something else. It kind of takes it up.
We actually text each other during the game sometimes because I'm either yelling, screaming, and cussing, or he's yelling. Well, he don't cuss, but I do. I'm a professional. And so we're in some text groups and stuff like that, and you get the sentiment from the guys who all of us are former players. All of us care about the Broncos. Yep. So regardless of if current players in the league, just understand this: we care.
Yeah, we do.
No,
we have an opinion, but we care. We really do care.
No, I think that comes across for sure. So appreciate you guys coming on the show. That is going to do it for us. For Troy Rank and Sidney Jones and us here at the desk, Nick Ferguson and Rod Smith, I am Phil Milani. Thank you for watching Broncos Weekend.